Hey everyone and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? This time we're tackling TCS's Q3 results for fiscal year 25.
Always ready to dig into the numbers.
Yeah, and for all of you listening, we're going beyond just the headlines here.
Absolutely.
I've got all the official docs, the financials, auditor reports, press releases, even what the analysts are buzzing about.
We're going to piece it all together, see what story these numbers really tell about how TCS is doing.
Right. And of course, we'll be looking back, comparing to both last quarter Q2 of FY25 and the same time last year. That's Q3 FY24 for those keeping score.
Got to have that context, right?
Exactly. Okay, so let's hit the big picture first. Total income for TCS in Q3 FY25. Drum roll, please. INR 65,216 million.
Wow.
That's a massive number.
It is, but, big numbers don't always tell the whole story.
Exactly. So let's break it down. First, how does that compare to Q2 of this year? And then, maybe more importantly, how does it stack up against the same quarter last year?
So here's the interesting thing. Compared to Q2 of FY25, revenue actually dipped a tiny bit, like 0.45%, just a smidge.
Okay, so not a huge drop, but still, a dip is a dip, right?
True. But here's the kicker. Compared to Q3 of last year, we're looking at a 5.94% increase year over year.
Wow. So overall, still some pretty solid growth then.
Definitely. Despite that little dip this quarter, TCS is still on an upward trajectory.
Okay, so they're bringing in the money, but what about profitability? That's the real bottom line, right?
You got it. And the news is even better on that front. Profitability is UP, both compared to last quarter A&D compared to Q3 FY24.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. So what kind of numbers are we talking here?
Profit for this quarter clocked in at INR 12,444 million. But there's a little asterisk next to this one.
An asterisk?
Yeah.
Okay, you've piqued my interest. What's the catch?
Remember last year, Q3, TCS had to settle that legal claim? That impacted their profits for that period.
Oh yeah, the legal thing. I vaguely remember that.
Right. Well, if you take that unusual expense out of the equation, which of course isn't a recurring thing, the profit growth this year looks even stronger.
Okay, so they took a hit last year that makes this year's numbers look even better by comparison. Got it. But remind me, what exactly was that legal settlement about? Was it a big deal?
It was a hefty sum. They ended up shelling out INR 958 crore. So yeah, not exactly small change, but like I said, not something we expect to see every quarter.
Okay, phew. That's good to hear. So they're making more money, profits are up, but how exactly are they doing it? What parts of their business are really driving this success?
Well, let's dig into the segment performance, shall we? Their biggest revenue generator is still BFSI, banking, financial services, and insurance, the classic TCS stronghold.
Right, they're known for that.
Yep. Even though that segment dipped a little this quarter, it's still their bread and butter. But there's another area that's really taking off. Their regional markets and others segment.
Regional markets and others.
Yeah, that one just exploded, over 40% growth year over year. Can you believe that?
40%? Seriously? That's huge. What's driving that kind of growth? Are they entering new markets, or what's the secret sauce?
Emerging markets are where it's at. They're seeing incredible success, especially in India. Their revenue from India is up a mind-blowing 70.2% year over year. And even the Middle East and Africa region is up a healthy 15%.
Wow. So they're killing it in new territories, holding their own in their core market. But let's not gloss over that BFSI slowdown. Should we be worried?
Actually, I think it's a positive sign that BFSI is starting to climb back up. It took a bit of a beating in previous quarters,
Yeah, I remember us talking about that.
Right, so the fact that it's bouncing back suggests things are looking up for TCS in that sector. It's something to watch for sure, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Okay, so we've got a handle on revenue and profit, exciting growth in new markets, and even a potential BFSI rebound. But before we get too excited, let's talk about the bigger picture. Is this just a temporary blip, or is TCS setting itself up for sustainable success?
Great question. And to really answer that, we have to go beyond just the numbers, right? Look at what they're doing to ensure long-term growth.
Exactly. What investments are they making? What are the clues about their future plans?
Well, one thing that's really striking is their commitment to talent, They've announced over 110,000 employee promotions this year. Plus, they're still going strong with campus hiring, snapping up all those bright new grads.
110,000. Wow. That's a lot of happy employees.
It is, but it's not just about keeping the current team happy, right? It's about attracting the best new talent, too. And for that, you got to be on the cutting edge.
Right. Got to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So what are they doing to make sure they're the place to be?
R&D. They're pouring money into research and development, and it shows. Get this 195 patent applications just this quarter alone.
Whoa, 195, that's a serious commitment to innovation.
Oh, yeah. And you know what a big chunk of those patents are for?
Hit me with it.
AI, artificial intelligence. They even launched a whole new business unit focused on AI and cloud tech. AI Cloud, they call it.
AI cloud, huh? Catchy. But everyone's jumping on the AI bandwagon these days. What's TCS specifically doing with it? Is it just hype, or is there a real substance behind it?
Oh, it's way more than just buzzwords. They're using AI to create solutions for clients across all sorts of industries. Banking, insurance, healthcare, even aviation.
So it's not just some futuristic concept for them?
Nope. It's a real tool, automating tasks, personalizing experiences for customers, even coming up with solutions to problems we haven't even thought of yet.
Okay, I'm seeing the potential here. But how's it all translating into actual results? Can we see the impact of these investments in their performance now?
For that, we got to look to the analysts. They're the ones who really dissect these reports and compare TCS to the competition.
Okay, let's hear it. What's the expert consensus? Are they as bullish on TCS as we are?
Overall, the vibe is very positive. Analysts are impressed with TCS's deal wins this quarter, which basically means clients are putting their money where their mouth is.
They're trusting TCS to deliver.
Exactly. And they're acknowledging TCS's leadership in key areas like digital workplace services, quality engineering, and cloud professional services too. Can't forget that.
Sounds like they're ticking all the right boxes. But no company is perfect,
Yeah.
right? What are the analysts flagging as potential areas for improvement?
Well, one thing that pops up is the need to keep pushing their digital capabilities even further. I mean, they're doing great with AI and cloud stuff, but tech moves fast.
Yeah, got to stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly. So there's always room to invest even more, maintain that edge. Another point is expanding their reach in certain markets, Europe, Latin America. They've got a global presence, but there's always room for more.
Okay, so innovate and expand makes sense. But what about their core business? How are they stacking up against the big dogs in IT services?
It's a tough crowd out there. You've got Infosys, Wipro, HCL, even global giants like Accenture and Cognizant. But TCS holds its own by consistently delivering high-quality services.
So it's not just about having the flashiest tech.
Nope. It's about building those strong relationships with clients, showing them they can rely on you.
Reliability, that old-fashioned virtue. It still matters, huh?
More than ever. Clients want to know that TCS is going to get the job done right. That reputation, that trust is a huge asset.
I see what you mean. It's fascinating to see how TCS is balancing all these different elements. Cutting-edge tech, global expansion, but also those core values, those client relationships. Seems like a winning formula.
I agree. It's a delicate balancing act for sure, but they're managing it well. And this brings us back to your earlier question. Is this sustainable? Are these impressive results just a fluke, or is there something deeper going on?
Right. That was my question. What's the verdict? Flash in the pan or something more substantial?
Well, if you connect the dots, right, the financial performance, the investments they're making, what the analysts are saying, it's pretty clear TCS isn't just riding a wave. They're actively shaping their future.
So they have a plan. They're not just reacting to market trends, they're setting them.
Exactly. They're not content with just being another IT services provider. They want to be the global powerhouse for digital solutions.
Ambitious. Okay, so they've got the vision. But how are they turning that vision into reality? What concrete steps are they taking?
It's a multi-pronged attack. First, they're going all in on their digital capabilities, investing big time in things like AI, cloud computing, and of course, cybersecurity. Can't forget that.
Right, got to keep those systems safe. So they're making sure they're ready for whatever comes next in tech.
Exactly. Second, they're strategically expanding their global reach,
Yeah.
targeting those high-growth markets like Europe and Latin America.
Smart move. Tap into new customer bases, spread the risk a bit.
Yep. And lastly, they're not just about tech solutions anymore. They're beefing up their consulting and advisory services, becoming more of a strategic partner to their clients.
So they're not just building a bigger TCS, they're building a smarter, more adaptable TCS.
Couldn't have said it better myself. But with all this investment in the future, what about the people who are already along for the ride? The shareholders. Well, that's a good point. Got to keep those investors happy.
Right. Well, TCS has a history of being pretty generous with their dividends, and this quarter was no exception. Get ready for this. INR 76 per share dividend.
76 rupees per share. Wow. That's going to make some investors very happy. But does this mean they're prioritizing short-term gains over long-term growth?
That's a question a lot of analysts are asking. Could these big payouts hurt their ability to compete down the line?
Right, it's a balancing act.
It is. But to be fair to TCS, they seem to be managing it pretty well. They're not just throwing cash around. They're being careful, making sure they can reward shareholders and invest in the future.
Like, we're confident in our future, so we're sharing the wealth, but we're also smart enough to save for a rainy day.
Exactly. And their track record supports that.
Yeah.
TCS has a history of consistent dividend payouts. That suggests a sustainable financial strategy. They're in it for the long haul. It's impressive how they're juggling all these different aspects: strong financials, strategic investments, talent development, shareholder rewards. They're really firing on all cylinders.
They are, and they're not about to rest on their laurels either. They're constantly looking for ways to improve, innovate, stay ahead of the game.
Okay, so before we wrap up, one last thing that's been bugging me. You mentioned that legal settlement from last year, the one that cost them INR 958 crore.
Oh, yeah, that.
What was that all about? I'm still curious about the details.
You and me both. But unfortunately, the information we have doesn't really go into specifics. They haven't publicly disclosed what the claim was actually about.
A bit of a mystery then. Guess some things are better left unsaid.
Maybe so. But it does make you wonder, doesn't it?
It does. Well, I guess that's a topic for another deep dive. For now, I think we've covered a lot of ground. We've explored TCS's Q3 results, compared them to the past, and gotten a glimpse into their strategy for the future.
Definitely. We've seen how they're balancing growth, rewarding their shareholders, using AI to drive innovation, and expanding globally while staying true to their core values.
It's been a fascinating journey. So to everyone listening, we hope you have a much clearer picture of where TCS stands today and where they're headed.
They're definitely a company to watch.
Keep your eye on them, folks. They're just getting started. And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay curious.